Welcome back to Down the Lineup. Today I'm here with guest host Justin. How are we feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. First podcast.
Yeah. So Sonny was unable to record today. He had something going on, and I am going on a trip to Spain tomorrow, so we're not able to record. So this is recording Sunday night. All the games of the week are through, so we can still do our recap from last week. The Orioles took 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. The Rangers won the series against the Dodgers. The Mariners take 2 out of 3 against the White Sox. A's, they get swept by the Twins. The Reds split the series against the Guardians, and the Royals lose 3 out of 4 versus the Yankees. Um, so it's looking like for our locks of the week, each of us got our locks correct. And then the upset series of the week, I did not get mine correct. Sanha split, and Sonny did not get his correct either. So, Justin, how we feel about any of these series before we dive into our weekly superlatives?
The series be like this week.
Yeah, the ones that happened over the last week.
I'm not like what is called. I'm not like amazed how the A's got swept by the Twins, and I'm low-key surprised how like the Reds split against the Guardians. I thought Guardians would have won that series.
Yeah, the A's look
Yeah,
like they're kind of sinking to the bottom as much of the AL West is. Um
and I also have one more.
yeah.
I don't know if this like shocking, but Orioles taking 2 out of 3 against Philly. Just Philly
hmm
like kind of like downfalling right now.
Yeah, it looks like Philly's kind of struggling right now over the last month. They've been kind of around 500, still taking care of business, but against like the good teams now that they're facing good teams, they're not winning as many games.
Yeah, like dropping games.
hmm let's we can get into our player of the week. Who did you have for your player of the week?
I Kyle I can't say his name, but the guy from Phillies.
Schwarber?
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, he went 10 for 23, had 3 home runs, 6 RBI, 21 total base, and I just think June Schwarber is a beast.
Yeah. Schwarber always kind of comes out in June. So, we can always look forward to that every year. For my player of the week, I had JD Martinez. He went 10 for 21, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 22 total bases. This is kind of the guy that the Mets envisioned when they signed him. And, throughout the whole offseason, him not being signed, the big question was like, can he play? And then he kind of struggled out of the gate, maybe not having the spring training, not having like the proper like ramp up. But now, that opposite field power is really showing. And, JD's kind of helping the team. The Mets are winning some games, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Just a note, Sonny, he sent me his stuff. So he had Carlos Correa. Correa went 17 for 31 with 3 homers, 9 RBIs, and 27 total bases. The Twins are also a hot team. They've won 5 straight. They swept the A's. And that AL Central is really heated in the race. So if Correa can keep balling out, be the guy the Twins signed, this is going to be a very interesting AL Central race coming down the stretch. Some teams. Who did you have for your team of the week?
I had the Seattle Mariners. They went 6 for 1 for like their records. Shocking, or yeah, shocking. They beat the Rangers, or not shockingly, but like they sweep the Rangers, in fact. And now they have like the largest division lead in the MLB currently.
Mhm. Yeah, Sonny also had that, a little note there. It's crazy how the Mariners have the biggest division lead. The AL West is really not competitive, and the Rangers being, this I don't want to say bad, but like they're performing very like under what their expectations were this year, and it's giving the Mariners like a very easy opportunity to make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For my team of the week, I had the New York Mets. Ever since Grimace threw out the first pitch, they're on a 5-game winning streak, and they're 5-1 on the week. Mets fans I've seen on Twitter are kind of rallying around Grimace. They haven't lost since Grimace threw out the first pitch, and they've got Grimace as their turning point. If the Mets do come back and win or make the playoffs, Grimace might have to get a ring or get something. Get a banner, get a
Yeah.
spot on the team, something like that.
Be the mascot.
Yeah, new mascot, Mr. Met gone.
Yeah.
Um, we can get to our next week preview. So, who did you have for your series of the week?
Series of the week, I think it's gonna be Mariners versus Guardians. Oh, it's a good pitching battle series. Like I like the Tuesday pitching battle a lot. McKenzie against Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller been very like good for the Seattle Mariners, and like this is also like a good series because it's like a race for number two seed.
Hmm. Yeah, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, the Guardians did win the series the first time when the Guardians came up to Seattle. I was at one of the games. But yeah, I really like that matchup. It's gonna be, two AL leaders battling it out. Some good pitching. Guardians have a little bit better hitting, but neither team's really like standing out in terms of either side. The man's rotation is great, but they're still struggling or not struggling. They're still have some starts where, the starters don't give them length. So, we have seen the Mariners kind of locked down in their rotation, and then we've seen times where the Mariners kind of, give up some runs. So if they want to win the series against the Guardians, I think they really got to lock down this series. Kind of really show out like they did over the weekend.
hmm
And
And
then,
also,
oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
just I just put down like on the notes that the Mariners scored 5+ points like back to back or
Five
runs.
runs. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mariners offense is kind of showing out, but we need them to be more consistent if, they want to make the playoffs and make a deep run.
Yeah. Obviously
And
step up.
and then my series of the week is the Yankees versus the Orioles. The Orioles have the chance to take the division lead. They won three out of four the last time the two faced, and now the Yankees coming off a series loss to the Red Sox. This might be the chance for the Orioles to take the lead in division and kind of show out a little bit.
Yeah.
Who did you have for your upset series of the week?
I had the I don't think this like a really like a big upset, but just the Blue Jays being the Boston Red Sox. I said Blue Jays have like a star power to bounce back and like it'll start like this weekend against the Red Sox. Like
Hmm.
Vladdy, like Bichette, and like everyone will start going on.
Yeah, I mean, if the Blue Jays want to make a run at the playoffs, they're gonna have to start sooner rather than later to kind of catch up in the wild card race.
Yeah.
Um, for Sonny's series of the week, he also had the Mariners versus Guardians. The his upset series of the week is the Tigers over the Braves. The Braves are just decimated with injuries. The Tigers, they're playing some pretty good baseball. Interesting pick there, but I could definitely see it happening. And then I have the Giants over the Dodgers. Dodgers got some news about some of their star players that we'll dive into in just a second, but this is where the Giants can kind of take control or take advantage of the Dodgers injuries and maybe take a series over their rivals. And then who do you have for your lock of the week?
I had the Los Angeles Dodgers being Colorado Rockies, like an obvious one, I guess.
Yeah, I think all of us have pretty obvious ones. Sonny has the
Yeah.
Astros over the White Sox, and then I have the Royals over the A's. The A's are really struggling right now. White Sox have struggled all year, and the Rockies have been pretty bad all year too. Some quick news, both of them having to do with the Dodgers. Mookie Betts hit by a pitch today. He suffered a broken hand, and he's gonna be out for a month plus. And then Yoshi Yamamoto went to the 10-day IL with a triceps injury. So two big injuries for the Dodgers, middle of the season.
Yeah, we'll see how the Dodgers offense do with Mookie Betts.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And yeah, so now for the bulk of the episode. So Justin, you're an NBA guy, you follow the NBA pretty well.
Yeah.
Being a guy who likes watching NBA finals going on right now, I
Mhm.
thought it'd be kind of cool to make comparisons and have one team for each MLB team, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So this is alphabetical, uh, in terms of MLB teams. Who did you have for the Arizona Diamondbacks comparison?
I had the Sacramento Kings
Okay.
because like both team are good, but like kind of like falling off, like Diamondbacks or World Series team last year,
Hmm.
and Kings like I don't know how to say it, but like they look good like during the regular season, but then just like doesn't show at all during playoff.
I had the
Yeah.
Miami Heat. So both teams are coming off finals runs. And then they both are having or had disappointing seasons this year. Um, yeah, that's my comparison, the Miami Heat. For the Atlanta Braves, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. I said, lots of star players, but deal with a lot of injuries.
For a brace, I put Denver Nuggets. Like I don't know why I put this, but I just have like a vibe, you know. I
Yeah.
just have a vibe. Yeah.
Okay. For the Baltimore Orioles, who did you have?
I had the OKC Thunders, both a young team that is doing very good regular season. We'll see how the Orioles do, like in playoff, I guess.
That's also the team I have. Young teams that are kind of blossoming onto the scene, showing up. The Thunder were the one seed this year. The Orioles were the one seed in the AL last year. Yeah, I think it's a pretty obvious comparison.
Yeah.
For the Boston Red Sox, I had the Cleveland Cavaliers. I said both teams are pretty solid teams. They have one star player, kind of emerging, Rafael Devers and Donovan Mitchell, and then they have a lot of solid role players around them.
Yeah. I put the Memphis Grizzlies because like they got like a lot of like big injuries, you know.
Hmm.
hmm
Who'd you have for the Chicago Cubs?
I put Brooklyn Nets because like both team are like mid and like they have like no super like players, you know.
Yeah, I kind of went a different route. I went with the San Antonio Spurs. I think, with Shota Imanaga kind of being like the rookie of the year frontrunner, I kind of compared him to Wemby. Obviously, Wemby's like a much more generational talent, but both guys kind of came in with high expectations and both are proving it. And both teams are, up and coming.
Yeah.
This is another one where I think we have a pretty same gist. Who did you have for the Chicago White Sox?
I put the Detroit Pistons because like Kate Cunningham is like Lewis Robert Jr., both young, like with a lot of potential, but like on a bad team. So hopefully like both of them get traded or like their team gets better, you know.
That's pretty much the same reason I had. I was really good like reasoning the players. I just said like bad team with bright spots. Um, Cade's been pretty good. Luis Roberts had his bright spots. But the team itself hasn't really been doing much.
Yeah.
For the Cincinnati Reds, I had the Dallas Mavericks. This one's based off Ellie and Luca. They're both young star players who are doing like unprecedented stuff. Obviously, the Mavericks have a little more success, but you know, Luca being the point god he's been, with all these triple doubles and doing like all kinds of crazy moves. And then Ellie, I think Ellie's kind of a mix of that and him and Kyrie. Kyrie kind of showing off flashy moves. Ellie's been flashy. That's my comparison to the Dallas Mavericks.
For the rest, I put down Houston Rockets. Both have like what you said, like good young players. I put Jalen Green as like Ellie De La Cruz. Both
Yeah.
highlight makers, you know. Jalen
Hmm.
Green with like the dunk, like amazing dunk, and Ellie De La Cruz is like smashing balls or like like his speed.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think Jalen Green's another good comparison.
hmm
For the Cleveland Guardians, I had the New York Knicks. Yeah, they're a grit and grind and like they're underratedly good. The Knicks were the two seed. The Guardians are currently the two seed. I think, both teams, if you like look at the team, you'd say like they're a good team, well-rounded, you know. They got guys, Brunson, Jose Ramirez, but in the grand scheme of things, you don't expect this team to be like a finals team or like a World Series team, but they're underratedly good. They could make a run.
Yeah, I put down the Minnesota Timberwolves. Both have superstars, you know. Anthony Edwards for Timberwolves, Jose Ramirez for the Guardians.
Hmm.
Both and like they're like Timberwolves went pretty far this year. That's like, or I expect the Guardians to be like that level for them
Hmm.
too. Yeah.
And then Colorado Rockies. Who'd you get for the Rockies?
I put down the Charlotte Hornets. Both are bad, like with like decent like players.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I have the Washington Wizards. I said like still a few years away. Both teams, they're not particularly like they don't have particularly young superstars, and they have like solid players. Both teams have solid players, but you wouldn't say there's like a clear building piece for either team.
hmm
The Detroit Tigers. This is where I have the Brooklyn Nets. I said they both have solid role players, but they don't have like a real superstar. Um, and both teams are in the middle of the pack. They're not, particularly good, nor are they particularly bad.
I agree with that. Also, like I put down the Raptors. I think Raptors were pretty decent this year too.
Hmm.
And both team were very good like 8 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For the Houston Astros, I think this is another one where we have very similar teams. Who did you have?
Golden State Warriors.
Hmm.
I just put down like both team had like good like dynasty run where Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, like like the Splash Brothers have a good
Hmm.
run. And yeah, it's just like sad to see the Golden State Warriors falling off.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the same for the Astros, but their dynasties are like they're both dynasties that are like past their prime. The Astros, with their guys, Verlander's getting older, Altuve's getting older, Jordan's been still pretty good, Tucker's been pretty good, but they're kind of past their primes and they're fading off.
Yeah.
The next team is the Kansas City Royals. I compared them to the Orlando Magic. I said they're both very young teams with unlimited potential, but this year might not be the year where, they kind of arrive yet.
Yeah. I put I put down the Los Angeles Clippers because Royals are good at home and Clippers are just good at home too.
Hmm.
Just like good like home teams.
Yeah. Um, the Astros are sorry, the Angels are next. I put down the Portland Trailblazers. They just lost probably their best player or a generational megastar. The Blazers lost Damian Lillard and are kind of bottoming out. The Angels lost Otani and also bottoming out.
So funny. We kind of like put down like the same reason. I just put down Utah Jazz
Hmm.
are like both are bad and Chido were like their best players, Shohei Ohtani and Donovan. And
Hmm.
like I guess Jazz had like the worst, but like yeah, like what you said.
Yeah, same idea.
Yeah.
The next team is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Who did you put for this one? I'm interested to hear.
I put the Dallas Mavericks like
Okay.
both low playoff last year. Dodgers fell off pretty quick. Did the Mavericks make the playoff last year? I don't
They did
think.
not. No, they didn't.
Yeah, like they're like borderline. But Dodgers are looking sharp while Mavericks is still in the championship. Go Mavericks.
Hmm. This is where I have the Mavericks team that they're playing in the finals, the Boston Celtics. I said both are teams that, were really good last year, right? And they got even better this year. Dodgers got Otani Yamamoto, right? They got Teoscar, who's been amazing. The Boston Celtics got Porzingis, and then they got Drew Holiday. So I said, the rich get richer. Both teams who were, good teams.
Yeah, good dynasty. Like,
I wouldn't say dynasties, but like good teams that just got way better.
hmm just too overpowered.
Yeah, kind of overpowered in a sense.
Yeah, like a 2K like or like like my team.
Yeah. Next team is the Miami Marlins. Who did you
Mhm.
have?
I put down the Portland Trailblazers. I just said Tim Anderson falls off and DeAndre Ayton falls off. Like both
Hmm.
like Tim Anderson was like very good like long time ago. And DeAndre Ayton was like good also back then.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Anderson's fall off is very, very surprising and interesting. DeAndre Ayton too, being the number one overall pick with all that hype, making the finals, and then now, he's just not producing. I like that comparison. I have the Utah Jazz. I said they're both bad teams that are between timelines. I think the Jazz have a decision to make with Lauri Markkanen, and the Marlins have a lot of decisions to make with Tim Anderson, Jazz Chisholm, Jesus Luzardo, guys who could all be traded at the deadline. So yeah, bad teams who are in between like rebuilding and like contending a few years ago. With
Yeah.
the Milwaukee Brewers, this is where I have the Denver Nuggets. I said both are teams that like have like some flashiness, but they're also like fundamentally sound. The Brewers, they got Willie Adames, Christian Yelich, William Contreras, all guys who are solid like to great players. But they don't get a lot of media attention or flash. The Nuggets, before they won the title, they were just a solid team. Jokic was an MVP candidate, MVP winner, MVP like candidate year in, year out.
Mhm.
But when it comes to playoffs, they're not a fun team to watch. They kind of just get things done.
I I agree with like the thing you said, but I disagree with like you saying, Nuggets are boring to watch,
I didn't say they're boring to watch. I just said they're not fun to watch.
I guess. I got for my comparison, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. Like both are
Mm.
doing like pretty good regular season,
Hmm.
and we'll see how they do. And I just noticed, but both are in Milwaukee.
Yeah. The next team is the Minnesota Twins. Who did you have for this one?
I just put down Atlanta Hawks. Both important players are injured.
For mine, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. Same thing with injuries, like, guys who just can't stay healthy, so their potential is never reached. With
Yeah.
Zion Williamson, Byron Buxton, Royce Lewis, all guys who, they could be MVP candidates, but, they just can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field or on the court.
hmm Yeah.
The next team is the New York Mets. I got the Phoenix Suns for this one. Both teams, spent a lot of money to build their teams, but they weren't particularly like good or at the top of the standings. Both teams are kind of like stuck in salary like purgatory in terms of like how much they can spend and their payroll right now.
Yeah. My comparison was kind of bad, I say. Like I rushed this one, but I put the New York Knicks, both New York team.
Okay. Speaking of New York team, the New York Yankees are next. Who did you have for this one?
I put down, it's pretty obvious, the Boston Celtics. Yankees like the best team right now, I say.
Mhm.
While Celtics are up 3-1 in the championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
For this one, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. They traded for a star player to pair with their current superstar MVP guy, right? The Bucks
hmm
traded for Damian Lillard and the Yankees traded for Juan Soto, and now they both have like kind of championship or bust expectations.
Yeah.
Who did you have for the Oakland Athletics?
I had the Washington Wizards. Like both team has no superstars.
Hmm.
Like both,
Um,
yeah.
I think I have the team you put for the Rockies. I have Charlotte Hornets, so it looks like we just flip-flop the A's and the Rockies. But I have Charlotte Hornets, they're bottom feeder teams with like little future.
hmm
Um, the Hornets have LaMelo, but they kind of traded away like their guys in terms of PJ Washington and like now they're both kind of stuck in like what to do for the future. The A's have kind of been stuck here for a while. Meanwhile, the Hornets are just about getting there.
Yeah.
And now the Philadelphia Phillies. I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're both really rounded, like well-rounded teams with good pitching, good defense, and like good offense, right? And I think these are both teams that like could go very far if everything kind of like clicks at once.
hmm For my current person, I just put the Indiana Pacers because both team have like good depth.
Mm.
Yeah.
The next team is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Who did you have?
It's kind of obvious because I just put down the San Antonio Spurs, both like young team with rookie superstar Paul Sean and Victor Wembanyama.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I didn't think about that one. What I have is the Toronto Raptors. I have like a middle of the pack, team, but they have a really good young core. Paul Skeens, O'Neal Cruz, Jarrett Jones, all guys who are young and could develop with the Raptors having RJ, Emmanuel quickly. Um, those are both guys who could develop into something.
Yeah.
Next team is the San Diego Padres.
I put down Los Angeles Lakers, both like in the low playoff seed and have like good players, like LeBron and yeah, both have good players.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same comparison. Like Tatis, LeBron, both, freak athletes, AD, Machado, Arias, Cronenworth. This is a team like both teams on paper you'd expect to be, high seeds, but they just underperform. Like it's been a couple years now where like both teams have underperformed.
hmm
The next team is Seattle Mariners.
I just put down the Orlando Magic because like no one expected like the Seattle Mariners to be like this good right now, and no one expected the Orlando Magic to like be good enough to make the playoff last year.
Hmm. I kind of got like the same vibey team, is the Indiana Pacers. I said, young, fun team, but they're missing one side of the ball. The Pacers are a fun, fast team, but they don't play defense. And the Mariners are kind of opposite, where, they're great pitching, good defensive team, but they don't got the offense.
Yeah, I agree.
The San Francisco Giants are next.
I put down the Chicago Bulls, both like borderline playoff team, where
Mm,
Bulls barely missed the playoff. I think they lost in the last play-in seed,
mm.
and the Giants are like, wait, they're in the playoff like low seed, right? Like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just put down.
For the Giants, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. This is mostly on the injuries. Blake Snell, Jung-Ho Lee, both guys who are, just been injured. John Morant dealt with injuries. Jaren was injured for a bit. Desmond Bain was injured. So just like a lot of injuries on both teams.
Yeah, I see that.
Uh, St. Louis Cardinals, I got the Chicago Bulls. They're both older teams looking for like a rebuild. The Bulls, with DeMar, Levine, Vucevic, they're looking for a reset because it hasn't got things done. And the Cardinals are kind of approaching the end with Arenado, Goldschmidt, both guys who have been struggling this year at times. Yeah, both teams are kind of like looking for an avenue to rebuild.
Yeah, we have the same vibe for this one. I put down the Miami Heats, both like old team.
hmm
Yeah. So
Um, who did you have for the Tampa Bay Rays who are next?
I had the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like they're both capable of making playoffs, I say.
hmm
Yeah, that's what I put down. It's both capable of making playoff.
Yeah, for this one, I had the Sacramento Kings. You kind of gave this reasoning for the Diamondbacks earlier, but I think it fits the Rays, in my opinion, a little bit more. Both were great, like in the standings last year. Both lost in the first round to teams that, were were lesser seeds. And then now this year they slowed down a little bit. The Kings were the 3 seed last year, and the Rays won 100 games last year and were the 4 seed. And then both teams kind of disappointing endings to their seasons.
Yeah.
The next team is the Texas Rangers. For this one, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. I said they're both superstar duos with a mixed bag of supporting cast. I think, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia are like a really good superstar like trio. The duo I have was Semien and Seager. And then, Maxey, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, obviously. I think those are three good trio. Tobias being a great supporting role player. But then the rest of the lineup isn't really as great.
Well, we have like the same, but I disagree with Tobias Harris.
You have the
And
Sixers as well?
what?
You have the Sixers as well?
Yeah. I said,
Okay.
but all right. Like oh, I was talking about like the duos, like same as you, and then I said both were like underperforming, like how Sixers
hmm
underperform in playoffs, and how Rangers are underperforming it like right now,
Tobias is good. He just kind of had a bad playoff series.
I guess.
The second to last team is the Toronto Blue Jays. Who'd you compare them to?
I, s- I think we have the same again. I put down the Phoenix Suns, where both have like good duo, Bichette and Vladdy, KD and Booger.
Hmm. I have the Atlanta Hawks here. Um, Kind of the same thing. They have like two like superstar star level players in Vladdy and Bichette, but they're both not at the top of the league like they should be.
hmm
Yeah, and then the last team is the Washington Nationals. You want to go with who'd you have?
I just put down like New Orleans Pelicans. Like both team are starting off slow, and then I saw like the Nationals won like few games in a row and stuff.
hmm
Like, and the same thing for New Orleans Pelicans when they were like streaking up when Zion came back and stuff.
Yeah, I have the Houston Rockets, kind of the same vibe. The Rockets also have like a great winning streak. They're both like a mix of youth and veteran guys, and both are like very streaky teams. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, is there anything else you want to add, for your first episode? Any other topics you want to talk about?
nothing much. Just wishing Seattle Mariner, make the playoff this year
Yeah.
and go sleep.
Yeah. So that'll wrap up the episode. Thank you, Justin, for coming on to the podcast.
No problem.
Sonny will be back next week, and tune into Bay Area Breakdown where Justin and I talk a little bit of basketball, talk a little about the Golden State Warriors and what's going on around the league.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thank you.